Hey guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android, and I love to talk about movies and TV shows way too much. With that being said, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the MCU Phase 3 movies from the worst to the best, and I would love to hear your guys' rankings in the comments down below. In 11th place, I got Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this movie because I talked about it a lot on my channel before. But if you want to know why this is the worst MCU movie, watch this video. But I rate it a 2 out of 10. In 10th place, I got Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok sucks. The comedy does not hit. The reason why you guys got Thor Love and Thunder is because you guys praised Thor Ragnarok so much. And Thor is not supposed to be a comedic character. And I will say, I love Thor Love and Thunder way better than Thor Ragnarok because Jane Foster's back in it, and the only real joke I like in Ragnarok is he's a friend from work. But other than that, I rate it a 2.2 out of 10. In ninth place, I have Captain Marvel. The plot feels like it was trying to do way too much at once, juggling an origin story, new characters, and cosmic warfare, and really bad humor without giving enough time to develop Carol Danvers as a character. Instead of making me care about her journey, the movie just told me that she was powerful and they expected us for that just to be enough. Some cool moments, but the pacing was uneven. The scenes were dragging on, and it just felt rushed. And don't even get me started on how Nick Fury lost his eye to a cat. That was so stupid because we have been waiting for this answer since Winter Soldier. But other than that, I rate it a 3 out of 10. In 8th place, I got Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie had some okay and mediocre action scenes. Some of the humor did not fit, and the storyline was just plain simple. The Ant-Man movies have a lack of stronger villains than other Marvel movies. Ghost was kind of annoying, despite her great performance and a fair backstory. But other than that, she doesn't really seem to do much. Plus, it's really just a movie of people playing hot potato with a building the entire time. But I will say that this movie gets a little bit more hate than it deserves just because it's the movie that came right after Infinity War and people were expecting it to be good and know where Ant-Man was. Also, Lewis was very funny in this movie, and I love his comedic storytelling. But other than that, I rate it a 3.5 out of 10. In 7th place, I got Doctor Strange. I thought this was a good introduction to the Doctor Strange character, but the film itself was just boring, and it didn't hold up to my expectations. And I felt like Dormammu was good, but the events leading up to it weren't very interesting. The character development wasn't great, and the post-credits scene set up something that they didn't even follow up in the next Doctor Strange sequel or any other Marvel movie moving forward. But I rate this movie a 3.5 out of 10. In 6th place, I have Spider-Man Far From Home. I thought the film was kind of bland, and I didn't think Mysterio was a well-written villain. And I thought a lot of characters were underused, like Ned, MJ, Brad, and Flash. There were so many plot holes in this movie, and I don't get why Peter gave Mysterio the glasses when either should have told him that Mysterio's real identity was put in the bag and he worked for Tony. And Peter, you're so worried about going and people finding out your identity, but you go into a public bar with your mask off. I thought the post-credit scene was stupid when Maria Hill and Nick Fury turned out just to be Skrulls. I do think the post-credit scene with J. Jonah Jameson revealing Peter's identity was the best post-credit scene in any MCU movie. But other than that, I rate this movie a 4 out of 10. In 5th place, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I did not expect this movie to be as good as it was. I am a big fan of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and while I do think it's one of the better MCU movies, this is just better in practically every way possible. The plot is so well structured, and the pacing is great. The movie also explores its characters in way more thoroughly and practically and funnier and everything like that. The struggle of finding a place is the tone of the movie, and every important character has their own struggles and time to shine related to everything that's going on to the movie. The performances are great as usual, and every actor really brings their own flavor to their character, especially Dave Bautista as Drax. The movie also has great visuals and all wacky and fun ideas you might expect from a Guardians movie. The action scenes are great and the CGI is pretty flawless. Every character is great and every character is funny. There's so much comedy being presented in this movie, and it's kind of a little too much for me, but it's also not too much for me, if you know what I mean. But this deserves a 5 out of 10, maybe even a 6 out of 10. In fourth place, I got Black Panther. I love Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, R.I.P. Chadwick, and I love Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. I feel like Killmonger is a very well written villain. The CGI is this movie's biggest problem because the effects in the final battle look awful and it makes the Black Panther versus Killmonger fight just look weird. To be honest, all the fight scenes just don't look the best, and the CGI from the action scenes are just average. I don't like Everett Ross. He just has nothing to the story to me. But on the other hand, I can't really say anything else about this movie because I love the relationship between Black Panther, Shuri, and their mother. But I will say Wakanda Forever, I rate this movie a 7 out of 10. In third place, I got Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War is basically an Avengers movie in disguise. It is interesting to finally consider some of the collateral damage and civilian deaths caused by the massive amount of destruction that the Avengers cause. I will say that the story quickly turns into a superhero battle. The plan of Barnes Zemo, where he turns the heroes against each other, was a genius move. My favorite scene in this movie is the airport fight scene, obviously, and I love the way that they introduced Spider-Man into the MCU. And the fact that Captain America didn't tell Iron Man about the truth of his father and his parents shook me. I will say Iron Man was right, and I rate this movie a 8 out of 10. In my runner-up spot, I have Infinity War. We already knew that Thanos was coming, but seeing him wreak havoc across the galaxy was on another level of insanity. Josh Brolin brought a surprising amount of depth to the Mad Titan. The movie was like a giant crossover event come to life. Seeing Iron Man team up with Star-Lord, Thor wielding Groot's branch for an arm for Stormbreaker, and these interactions were pure fan-based service, and I loved every minute of it. The Russo brothers did an amazing job juggling such a massive cast, giving everybody a time to shine. The action sequences were insane, especially the Wakanda battle. That was awesome, and the special effects were top notch. This isn't your typical hero always win Marvel movie. And let me tell you, the ending, 7 years later of rewatching it, and I'm still not over it. The real tearjerker in this movie is the Mr. Stark I do not feel so good scene when Tony realizes that Peter's about to be dusted and Peter dies in Tony's arms and Tony can't do anything about it. Watching that part of the movie broke my heart. The only real issue I have with this movie is when Star Lord hits Thanos and they almost have the gauntlet off. If he just waited a few more minutes, they probably would have won. But story wise and storytelling wise, I get it. Overall, Avengers Infinity War is a much watch Marvel movie fan if you are one. It is a thrilling, emotional roller coaster that will leave you breathless and desperate for more. But other than that, I rate this movie a 8.5 out of 10. In first place, I have Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame, without a doubt, is the best experience I've ever had in a movie theater. And I mean, I love everything about this movie, from the action, from the comedy, from the 3 hour runtime, from the actors' chemistry, etc. And it's super safe to say that the portal scene is the best part in this movie, and it's the best moment in MCU history. I thought everybody gave phenomenal performances, but the one who really stole the show for me was Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. And Josh Brolin was an amazing performance as the Mad Titan Thanos. And Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans concluded their time and their journeys from the Marvel, from Iron Man and Captain America. The only problem that I really have with this movie is that Scarlett Johansson didn't really get a time to shine as Black Widow, and nobody really mourned like they did for Tony when she died, which is kind of messed up in my opinion. I also really like how Tony, when he saw Spider Man, gave him a hug because back in Homecoming, Peter Parker tried to give him a hug, but he was like, "No, I'm just grabbing the door for you." So I thought that was a circle moment and really told you how their relationship grew and proceeded throughout the MCU and throughout the movies. I also didn't expect Thor to go for the head and kill Thanos within the first 20 minutes of the movie. And if it wasn't for the rat, I don't think any of the heroes would have came up for the idea for time travel. But all in all, I think the Avengers Endgame movie is a masterpiece and a once in a lifetime cinematic event, and that people will talk about the movie from now until the end of time and into eternity. But I rate this movie a 9.5 out of 10. And without being said, you guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and put on the bell notification so you don't miss a single upload. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.